This video can be summed up in 3 words. Please clean your stuff. That's 4 words. This video can be summed up in 4 words. No, but seriously, I'll talk about this more in the video. Take care of your computer components. So initially I was going to make this I buy a computer component from China, I test it out, and I see if it's fake. Pretty formulaic, I've made videos like this before, but I decided to switch things up a little bit. Sometime last year, Crafts Computing snagged 2 RX 470s for $110 total. Now back then, a single RX 470 would run you about 80 bucks a piece, so $110 for 2 of them, it's pretty good. I messaged him and I asked, how did you get such a good deal? And he said that he bought them straight from China through a buying agent, in his case, SuperBuy. If you guys don't know what buying agents are, they're basically middlemen that allow you to buy region exclusive products. I checked out the site and I found that it's an actual gold mine of affordable hardware. So you can pick up inexpensive CPUs, motherboards, SSDs, and video cards. And that's exactly how I got this guy right here. It's a $56 video card straight from China. As you can see from the very bright and exuberant advertisement, it's listed as an RX 570, but as you know, advertisements can be misleading. But based on my previous experience using SuperBuy and Crafts Computing experience, I am more inclined to believe that I actually got what I paid for. The card arrived back in November and it's been sitting on my desk for a few months. I decided to take a look at what's inside, and I was not expecting this. Quality of the card is definitely not new. I knew that much based on the card's rusty heat pipes, but it looks well refurbished, or so I thought. It also has tape over the screws. This is an inexpensive way for manufacturers to test if someone has tampered with the card. Another reason why I thought it was refurbished. But then I removed the heat sink and the cooler.
Oh wow. Oh wow. I am disgusted.
There's rust and dust everywhere. It seems that the card was kept in a semi-humid environment with a lot of dust and was never cleaned out. There's dirt between the capacitors, between the fan grills on the PCB, and even covering the VRAM chip so badly you can't read the engravings. Before I continue, here's the disclaimer. This is a mining card. I've bought several mining cards before, but never one that's in this poor of a condition. Generally speaking, miners take care of their cards. They usually run them at lower voltages in very dry and cool environments, and this allows them to save on energy costs and, as a result, maximize profit. I suppose this miner didn't get the memo, or maybe they did and they're just not as advanced as more well-versed miners. Who knows? The back of the fan was also dirty and gross. The thermal pads needed a replacement, and as a matter of fact, the entire video card needed a deep clean. This was way more work than I expected to do, honestly, almost like some of my group projects at school, but I'm oddly excited about this one. So, let's do a mini restoration of this card. But we can't go into this unprepared. Cleaning everything really wasn't that dramatic. I started with the heat sink and the fan. I took off the old thermal pads and scraped off the crusty parts of the thermal paste left over. The big spots I scrubbed with a sponge, light soap, and some warm water. Some of the thermal paste was really stuck on the heat sink, so I had to go in full overdrive to get those parts off. For the hard to reach places, like the heat pipes, I used Q-tips, and it turned out pretty well. I was more careful with the PCB since it had very important components soldered, and I really did not want to re-solder something that breaks off. Using warm water and light soap, I basically repeated the same process, but not as aggressively. I struggled a bit with the thermal paste, but found that the Q-tips work great for getting it off. Because the Q-tips were a bit thick, I used some dental floss to get to hard to reach areas like between the capacitors and MOSFETs or the inductors. It wasn't very effective, but it was better than nothing. This was also my first time doing a deep cleaning per se, and I have a lot to learn, but I'm happy with how this turned out. I left it to dry for 24 hours, applied some MX4 thermal paste and Arctic thermal pads I bought from Micro Center. They were around $7 for 250 square millimeters. Now with all of the gunk out of the way, we can finally talk about the GPU. It's a Yeston RX 570 according to the GPU code. Interestingly enough though, it has a colorful / color fire cooler. So this means that either Yeston is an OEM that sent the card over to colorful or color fire, or this was originally a Yeston card with a Yeston cooler and the seller ripped that off and replaced it with a colorful / color fire cooler. No matter which one it is, the RX 570 is still a great card for 1080p gaming, especially on a budget, and you can definitely hit 60 FPS, assuming the rest of your computer is viable, if you just play around with some settings. This specific model is only $56, which is a lot cheaper than some of the RX cards that you will find on eBay. Now my question is, does the cleanliness of the card actually affect performance or thermals? So I did a little before and after analysis. The cleanliness of the card didn't help any in performance on average. In time spy, the GPU before and after the clean didn't show an improvement. Low temperatures during superposition didn't change either. Both topped out at 71 degrees Celsius, which is probably due to the automatic fan curve set on both of the cards. The clean 570 did have much better idle temperatures and ran cooler during the 3D Mark Time Spy, benchmarked by a noticeable 10 degrees. So our cleaning wasn't completely in vain. There are also other benefits to doing this that I'll talk about after going through these benchmarks. So with the card cleaned and ready to be used in a future build, what have I learned and do I recommend actually buying a part from SuperBuy? When you're buying used components, always inspect it. If you can inspect it before the purchase, that's amazing. If you have to do it after the fact, then that's fine too. Even if you're buying a used PC part, you want it to be in good condition. While this card was technically working, it was not in the best condition. And honestly, excluding the 24 hours it took to dry, it only took me about 30 minutes to actually wash the components, which isn't that big of a time crunch. And although I didn't see a huge performance benefit, I did have lower thermals, and it also ensures that I have a longer lifespan on my card. On a personal level, it also shows that you actually care about your purchases. In terms of SuperBuy, I do think it's a solid choice. You could probably build a very affordable gaming computer using only a buying agent, if shipping isn't super expensive. Now in my case, this card only costs $15 to ship, which in an absolute sense isn't that much. If you're in the US, it probably doesn't make that much sense to buy something from SuperBuy. It also takes around 3 to 4 weeks for it to actually get to you. There are cheaper models available though. There's a Sapphire Nitro 470 for only $48 if you convert to USD. And with shipping, that's gonna make it around like $63 or $64, which is cheaper than a lot of the models that you'll find on eBay. If you're international and shipping isn't as expensive and not as long, then I totally can see this being a viable option. I just wanna say again, take care of your components, honestly. Don't let your card look like this. Just check it once, maybe twice a year maximum. That's really all you have to do. Maybe kiss it goodnight every night. That's all I ask. In terms of this specific 570, what am I going to do with it? I'm actually going to give it away to a friend who just built his first computer. And he only really plays Fortnite, League of Legends, and maybe a little bit of Minecraft at 1080p. So this card is going to be perfect for all of those things. But that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then leave a like. If you loved it, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And let me know what you think. Follow me on Twitter as well at OzTalksHW. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.